But in a situation where you find that you look at the
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak on Trust Television. It's time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak, and would be looking at the Daily Trust first. The lead story on the Daily Trust says, Nigeria won't sink under my watch, says Tinubu. It has the writers that says he pledges to build on Buhari's achievements. Our country needs Tinubu, says Buhari. Why Northerners should vote Jagaban, El-Rufai, as Iwaju's gav on God bless PDP prophetic. That's according to PDP. There you would find also the pictorial there showing you pictures from the APC campaign flag off yesterday in Jos Plateau State. Also, beside that, you have world's population hits 8 billion. On page 5, fire guards store at Kano's Singa Market. You'd find that on page 10. Clergyman defiles 2 sisters in Ogun, impregnates 1 on page 10. You'd also find above the lead story, FTX exchange collapse, stares panic as crypto traders seek regulation on page 19. You'd also have court stops FG from selling Nigeria Air's shares to Ethiopian Airlines on page 6. And then you have also Anambra, I've done my part, it's your turn to deliver. Obi replies Soludo. You'd find that on page 25. And of course, not forgetting 11 schoolgirls of FGC Birni Yawuri, 517 days still in captivity. 1 student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, 490 days still in captivity.
All right, now let's take a look at The Guardian to see what it is saying. It has a late story that says, Obi replies Soludo as Atiku canvasses restructuring at LBS. The first rider, Obi, I did my little as Anambra governor. Soludo should do better as a professor. We have dragged Soludo to deities over Obi. This is coming from Ohaneze. Soludo's comments born out of envy, Labour Party. Atiku Obi set agenda on exchange rate others. And just beneath that, food, energy prices worsen inflation for households. We also have Kyari canvasses flexible energy transition for Nigeria others. And just beneath the masthead, court stops Nigeria Air over pressure from local airlines. Lagos lawmaker dies after attending APC Just rally. Buhari Adamu Tinubu flag off APC presidential campaign in Jos. Still on the Guardian newspaper, ahead of 2023, editors resolve to put political actors on toes. These are the major stories on the Guardian.
All right, let's take a look at the This Day newspaper this morning. The This Day leads with the story that says 100 days to presidential poll. Tinubu says, God bless PD APC. That's a phrase that has gone viral on social media yesterday. I mean, coming from the APC campaign rally. You have the writers that says, February election battle to define nation's soul. Nigeria needs a man like our candidate, Buhari declares. Oshibanjo, Mustafa Fashola absent. You'd also have our allegiance is to Nigeria, INEC chairman insist. You also would have other stories. Obi to Soludo, as professor, I pray you perform better than I did as governor. Tinubu's prayer, God bless PD prophetic, says opposition party. That's according to the PDP there. You'll also find Ahmed, no going back on phased petrol subsidy removal in 2023. So these are some of the major stories. Not forgetting, of course, the story on higher energy cost, disruption in food supply chain push inflation to 21.09%. So these are the stories on this day newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper has a lead story that says, Tinubu campaign, VIPs hit Plateau with 30 private chartered jets. The first rider, Tinubu promises to neutralize terrorist criminals, assures supporters. No election winner will be denied mandate irrespective of party. This is coming from the president. President gives Tinubu flag. Lagos lawmaker slums dies after rally. And beneath that, we have Ngige hates ASU, responsible for half pay. This is coming from the lecturers. Still on the Punch newspaper, Soludo's position doesn't reflect Southeastern Obi. Can meet Tinubu Atiku Obi today. Court halts Nigeria Air. Minister says project unstoppable. Also, we have on the Punch, exposed criminals on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. IG tells communities. These are the major stories on the Punch newspaper for today.
All right. So we have in the studio Ben Shema, the Director of News Voice of Nigeria, who joins us to give perspectives to some of these stories. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
My pleasure as usual. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, quite interesting stories. The APC campaign kickoff in Jos Plateau State yesterday is on virtually all the papers. It's leading, and two major political stories is the campaign kickoff in Plateau and the response of Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, to the Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo following his letter. I think we'll say 48 hours ago or so. Now, what do you make of the campaign? Let's start with the everyone is talking about this PD-APC thing, but it's normal, isn't it? Sometimes you tend to miss words, or have a slip of tongue when you are saying things and all that.
Yes. Before I go on to that, like the days been that these kidnapped children are being held, I think we should add Leah Sharibu. She's been there longer. And I should recommend to Daily Trust to begin to do a countdown. Today, we just have 100 days to the elections. So by tomorrow, we'll be talking of 99. So we begin to do a countdown so that we put everybody on their toes to ensure that, election is done the way it ought to be. And having said that, we go back to the gaffe by the presidential candidate of the APC. You see, sometimes when you overhold an enemy in your mind, you want to pray, you realize that the person is even blocking your prayer. In simple terms, he wanted to say, God bless APC. As Asiwaju Tinubu Jagaban said, God bless APC, then repeated APC. In other words, he realized he made a mistake. Such gifts are not new, after all. They are not. And when it comes to Southeast, talking of Peter Obi and Professor Soludo, the man people say has the solution, Soludo with solution. You see, the attack is becoming too much, and you can begin to teach some of your young followers to see everything Obi as being bad, being terrible, and that's why Obi went the humble way. I am a mere trader. I did the foundation. I did the wall, the building of the wall. I didn't finish. Roof it as a professor, This is laden with very serious meanings, connotative and denotative. Soludo, stop talking, walk the talk, so that people will have the dividends of democracy. Time is running out.
But why do people react as though it's such a taboo for the governor of Anambra State to have said what he said? I mean, he is a member of APGA, for crying out loud. He is a member. They are belonging to different political parties with opposing views. So is anyone expecting Soludo to clap for Peter Obi because he's from the southeast and then say, hey, well, good enough that you are contesting for the president?
Yeah, you see, people of the Igbo extraction will feel that the attack coming from a fellow citizen of Igbo extraction, people who feel that, look, they've been sidelined. In terms of rehabilitation, they are not. In terms of bringing them into Nigeria, it's not. And why is IPOP, why did Raf Wazuruke, why is Nnamdi Kanu fighting for justice in that area? And if people feel that time has come for there to be an Igbo president, and they feel also rightly, so be it. So, but when the opposition is coming right from inside, it's like a clog in the wheel of progress of the Igbo people. And that's why you're seeing some of this condemnation, especially coming from many of the Igbo people. Some are already saying, okay, single term for the prof. Well, that is left for the generality of the people in Anambra State to decide. And again, the Constitution allows people to express their opinions very well. I know, but expressions should not be a kind of pull-down syndrome, so that it does not become like
you know, we have seen similar, should I say attacks? Maybe. We've seen similar comments from others, from other regions and from other political parties. So, for instance, you talk about Bode George of the PDP in the southwestern part of the country, Ayo Adebanjo of the Afenifere. We've seen their remarks about the ambition of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is also from the southwest, a Yoruba just like them. But we have not seen the kind of, you know, reaction the way we are seeing in the case of Soludo and Peter Obi.
Yeah, you see, it depends on how it is said. The word itself is very, very innocent, but how is it delivered to ensure impact? If I say go, and I say go, 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 you know, they all have different impacts. So which tone, which pitch is Soludo using? Which one is Pa Adebanjo using? Ade Farati, which ones are they using? And so they all have impact based on who is reading and who is being targeted and who is interpreting at what level. Yes.
Mr. Sherman, you're talking about tone, you're talking about target, but according to Soludo, he said he needed to speak because nobody was saying what he said. And he said that he was speaking on behalf of the Igbos, for the good of the Igbos. Are people throwing away the baby with the bathwater? Or is it that nobody wants to look at the message? They're just looking at the messenger. Oh, it's Soludo, he shouldn't have said it because Peter Obi is from his state and his region.
It's a combination. But if I were to be Soludo, I will make sure I outdo the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. I'll have less time. After all, Peter Obi is not contesting against Soludo. So why throw the spanners? As far as I'm concerned, it's diversionary. Peter Obi and Soludo should rather work together to ensure there is peaceful election in Anambra State, southeastern Nigeria. These are people of note. These are people who are never pushovers. They should find a solution to the insecurity in this country, rather than attacking the ways you govern, the project you had, and all that stuff. Right. I think that Peter Obi at the point would leave his comfort zone and go to teach in secondary school. I saw that. If you ever had Peter Obi when he was in government, you go there, the man is busy serving you food. He will go fetch it, can't give you, and all that stuff. I have seen a meek person. I think that Soludo should rather give the Anambra people education, give Anambra people good health, provide security, give employment, leave Peter Obi to keep dancing, as he calls himself, a trader. Let's see what he's also doing. Where you handle micro Anambra, let Obi be handling macro Nigeria, so that we see if he can measure up with others like APC, PDP, LNPP, and to see if Nigerians will make a good choice.
All right, just a little away from politics, there's a story on the page 3 of the Daily Trust, how death of friends exposed rot in Niger hospital. In the past 1 week, 2 media practitioners lost their life in an accident. And the story is not necessarily because they are 2 media practitioners, but the fact that when they arrived at the hospital, they were not attended to for at least 13 hours. And even after somebody came, all the person gave them was pain reliever. It took the intervention of a professor before an x-ray was conducted. I mean, what do you say to all of that?
That really is the word, rot. And the next one, what caused the rot, is corruption. And what is behind corruption? Greed. What's behind greed? I want to show that I've come of age in terms of what I've acquired. And therefore, you find out that doctors have even left very well in their large numbers to outside country. You go to hospitals where indeed the buildings are on ground. What about the equipment? They all are needed. You also have a situation where, because of this need to keep body and soul together, many of these hospitals are being run by doctors who indeed also have affiliations with private hospitals, who are well equipped, better equipped, and they go there as consultants. It's not out of place when sometimes you see prescriptions being given to a patient, and you are told the stores where you go and buy such medicine. So a whole lot of things will have to be done. At the point even NEPA, NEPA does not exist. Our electricity supply, what do? They keep them as standby, where generator is the in thing. At what price?
You know, Mr. Shemang, the secretary to the government of the state, Niger State, confirmed this story. And he said that when he even had to make a call the next morning, no doctor was on ground. He added that a committee has been set up to look into the matter. In the past, committees have been set up to look into this kind of things. Do you think anything will come out of this? At least to serve as a deterrent going forward.
Solutions are always on paper in Nigeria. Panel will come, do their work. Of course, some people will be calling His Excellency. Are you aware those you want to punish are the sons of that and that and that? You also asked the Niger State government, what is it on ground that the doctors are enjoying? And again, how many doctors are being trained? Even in Niger State, for example, how many doctors do they have on ground? Can they go around? I'm not saying that they shouldn't look at what really happened. Was there a case of negligence? There was no duty of care. If people are entrusted unto you, did you run away and you left them just like that? So all of this will have to be unraveled to ensure that there is justice being served to the living, not those who have died. Those who have died have gone. They don't know what has happened. But for those who are alive, like you and I discussing this, can I go to any other hospital and have this experience? I do remember that although it's some years back, there was an accident and we had to take the victims to Kaura local government and Kaura General Hospital. And there was no light. And I tell you, the torchlight we had in my car were the ones we surrendered. And you could see some NYC doctors doing the job. You know, you just shake your head. And it was during PDP days, truly, it was. It's a bit better, but all the same, we need very nice situations. I can see that in River State, The governor is inviting the Nigerian president to go commission a world-class cancer center is kudos. That there should be inter-party kind of a thing. When someone has performed, clap for him.
All right. All right. I'd like for you to talk about the news from yesterday, which is still very relevant for us to look at. The world's population hits 8 billion yesterday, according to the United Nations. And this Nigeria happens to be one of the 8 countries that are responsible, that are going to be, that will contribute, have, I think, 50% of the increase that is going to be recorded from now till the next 50 years. So it means that Nigeria's population, like has been reported before, is in for, multiplication in a manner that maybe we haven't seen before. So is this something for us to be concerned about in Nigeria?
Surely, when IBB, military leader, woke up to say, let's see if families will adopt, a parent or parents, husband, wife, to 3 children. Some people came attacking him. And of course, you can now see the population. If there's this website, World Population Index or something, by the time you click, each time you see green light per country, it means a child is born. Nigeria's population is running very fast. And what are we talking about? At the point we begin to see population in terms of religion. No, in our religion, we are more in number. No, in our region, we are more in number. Therefore, can we begin to cite more of our state facilities in these areas? No, in our population, in our area, it's a thing of pride that we are the most populous nation in Africa. And in the world, we are challenging very soon. Okay, we are moving towards China. We are moving towards Indonesia.
In fact, India is overtaking China now. From
now.
So
what do we have? Today, you count the out-of-school syndrome. If 20 million children in Nigeria that are out of school, is it a thing of pride? When, like we said, compare the population of Benin Republic and Togo. They all have not reached 20 million, which is out of school syndrome in Nigeria.
Mr. Chairman, why does it look like the policymakers are pretending as if this problem is not there? Because even before the population got to the 8 million mark, there was this prediction that Nigeria's population by 2030 will be about 2050 will be about 400 million. But the policymakers, it doesn't appear as if they see it as a very serious issue.
Honestly, I think that this issue of family planning, no one is saying go destroy your system, but you can space your children in such a way that the first one grows up very well to take care of the next one. The next one and the first join hands to take care of the third. And before you know it, you have healthy children you can also take care of. It's not as, sometimes the policy makers are there. Look at the National Population Commission. If it is said that every 10 years do a census, in Nigeria we've not been doing it. Today it is clashing with election activities. Where is the priority? Is it with the election, or is it with the counting of people and housing population? You see, in terms of money being sent for these activities, population counting is the largest single activity in a country. Compared with the election, you have to reach 18 years to be a participant. But when it comes to census, it involves everybody, the lunatics and everybody. So
perhaps it's even much more tasking
than
an election.
It is. It's not easy.
All right,
but when we begin to see it as it is an advantage to my religion, it is an advantage to my region, and of course you look at in terms of better life. Who lives better?
Will you now say there's a need for adequate sensitization?
Of course, there has to be sensitization without name calling, without seeing, oh, I mean, when they were giving children some vaccinations, they said, no, this is a policy coming from the West to ensure that a certain population does not give birth, a certain religion does not give birth. And since that time and now, how many barren women do we have? How many?
How can we match our population growth with our infrastructural development? I mean, because as the population comes, you need to expand the economy. You need to expand in terms of job creation and unemployment and all that, so that we avert disaster. Because, I mean, if you have a large population that is unproductive and redundant, then that's likely going to be a disaster. So how do we avert that?
Good. You just have to go into this planning, involve the religious people. The religious leadership should accept this and begin to teach the people, preach. Look, let's not have people we cannot take care of. Now, those days that locomotive was so common in Lagos, these trains, see those seated, those standing more than those sitting, and see those who are seated on top of the train itself. It happened in Lagos. And if you go into some motorways that time, when they'll say 40 sitting, 60 standing, that tells you a picture of population explosion in Nigeria. And when you saw this book, This House Has Fallen, written by a wife, having looked at the situation in Lagos, you know, it's a thing that requires prompt attention, and how I wish the Governors Forum in Nigeria will see this as a policy, ensure that some laws are being made, ensure that some people are, not by coercion, persuasion, will ensure that we overcome this.
All right, here's another story now on the front pages. Food, energy. Food, energy prices worsen inflation for households. So we are recording an inflation, headline inflation of 21% and food inflation 23%. So where do we go from here? Looking at the fact that it's not abating despite all the policies that we are seeing by the central bank.
And we're also seeing the natural occurrences. See the flood that came and simply overtook some farms, fisheries, and there is hunger. And the next thing is for some people to start buying right now, hurt them. When hunger is so high, so hot in the country, they begin to release them. And how do we ensure some of this food security? Government policies must be very, very deliberate. We're having dry season now. What are we doing? Farming should not just remain as seasonal. When it's dry season, we see the corn. People should begin to borrow from Kano State. Go around Kura area and see what is happening. All year round farming. You get maize, fresh. You get vegetable, fresh. Everything is there. But what are other states doing? This is what the Governors Forum should be doing. Peer review mechanism. How is Kano making it that way in dry season farming? What is it like in Maiduguri? Lake Chad is going. And every time you hear we're going to bring in rain or water from the Great Lakes region, Central African Republic, you bring the waters from there into Lake Chad. Instead of you to do all of that, why don't we simply catch this excessive rainwater and channel it there? It's doable. We do that. But government, there's this laxity, finding solutions via conferences and reading literature, how this is done in Germany, how it's done in America, how it's done. Can we replicate this? Are there hungry people in China? I don't know. But India tends to have population problem and more so feeding that population. But how are they doing it? If they are failing, can Nigeria begin to do a peer review mechanism?
Some experts say that this problem is not so much as with the federal government as with the state governments. It appears as if a lot of state governments have not keyed into irrigation farming, and that is why this is so.
Yes, I agree with you, but you see, it's always very, very easy to blame what you call the federal government. Everything that happens is federal government. Oh, the Buhari government. Oh, the Jonathan government. Some of these state governments, who says that you can't go into damming? You can also have some mini dams. And if you have all of this, I tell you, some of these activities, we should be able to feed ourselves. A situation where up to now we have the sea, yet we are still importing fish. We have this land, vast arable land. We are still importing grains. See the war in Ukraine, what it has cost to the world. People never knew that Ukraine, as small as it is, was a factor in feeding the world. Nigeria can do that and even more.
All right. All right, thank you so much. It's a good place to end the review at this point. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak and sharing your perspective with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Our guest reviewer is Ben Shemang, the Director of News Voice of Nigeria, giving us his perspective on the major stories on the front pages this morning. We'll take a short break, and then when we return, we'll take a look at the headlines at the top of the hour. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that a look like
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that